The Maelstrom Hunter by Crimson QB Sage, Chapter 4. Welcome to Beacon. Beacon Academy entrance, 10 a.m., Naruto's POV. Soon enough, the ship docked at the entrance. The blonde guy that threw up on Yang's shoes was the first off the ship, followed by nearly everyone else. From the view of the floor, even with the puffs of smoke coming from my mouth, I could see Yang and Ruby standing over me. Urgh. I groaned out. The two girls giggled, and Yang brought out a camera seemingly from nowhere. Taking a photo of my misery, the two eventually helped me out of the flying metal death trap. After a minute of laughing, we were walking away from the ship and towards Beacon. I crossed my hands and pouted in a childlike manner, seeing as Ruby and Yang were still laughing. "It's not that funny," I said. "This only served to increase the laughter." "Yes, it is," Yang replied, "and now I have dirt on you." I saw her smirk and countered it with my own, seeing as she wasn't the only one with blackmail. "Did you forget that I still have that picture from that?" I said, her expression instantly turning from amusement to horror. You said that you got rid of all those photos," she said, slightly quivering in fear. "I still have a few here and there," I countered, my smirk growing wider as I spoke. "You wouldn't," she tried to reason. "Try me," I said. The world seemed to go silent as we got into one of our daily stare-downs to see which of us would back down first. So far, the score was Naruto 561, Yang 356. Soon enough, Yang came back down, and I tallied a 562 to my score. "Wow," I heard Ruby say as we got closer to Beacon Academy. "The view from Vale's got nothing on this," Yang said. "I'll say," I added. I see Ruby starting to eye weapons like a child in a candy shop, and soon is launched after them. Her sister Yang not so far behind her to make sure she doesn't go crazy. I sighed. Even here, Ruby is still a weapon enthusiast. I looked around looking for the other faces, for other familiar faces, when I see a familiar trio that I encountered in Signal, only this time they weren't wearing school uniforms. To the left was the red-haired kid with the monkey tail, only he was wearing something similar to what I saw Shinobi from Irukakuri wear. One strap flak jacket, a shirt with one long sleeve, with the other short and baggy pants. Attached to his shoulders were two revolvers with extended blades. To the right was the really tall guy who had a horsetail. Not much had changed besides him wearing a face mask. He wore red samurai armor along with a red straw hat. Strapped to his back was a large double-edged axe shotgun, and in the middle was the girl with mint hair. It appeared she also had orange eyes. She was wearing a white shirt that showed off her belly button along with a white skirt. She had some weird-looking tonfans at her side. The trio seemed to notice him as the girl in the middle waved at me. I waved back and was about to head over to them when suddenly I heard something from behind me. Kaboom! I turned around just in time to see an explosion of flames, snowflakes, and electricity. Also in time to have the front of my face turn into one of those blackened cartoonish faces. I blinked once, twice, 3 times. What just happened? Deciding not to think about it, I saw that the girl in white who was at the center of the explosion was walking away, and the blonde guy who threw up on the ship was helping Ruby up. I went over to the door after the blonde guy helped Ruby up. "What was that explosion?" I asked Ruby. She blushed out of embarrassment before replying. "I sorta exploded," she said. "Hey, I'm John," the other blonde said. "Naruto," I replied, shaking the hand extended to me by him. On Beacon Academy campus, 10:25 a.m., Naruto's POV. "All I'm saying is that motion sickness is a much more common problem than you let on," John said. "Look, I'm sorry. Vomit Boy was the first thing that came to mind," Ruby giggled. I myself was also chuckling. "Oh yeah, what if I called you Crater Face or Whiskers?" John countered, the last nickname directed at me. I just shrugged my shoulders. "Hey, that explosion was an accident," Ruby cried. "Meh, I've heard worse," I said. "Well, the name's John Ark. Short, sweet, rolls off the tongue. Ladies love it," John said. "Really?" I asked. "Do they?" Ruby asked as well, a bit skeptical. "They will. Well, I hope they will. My mom always says that." "Never mind," John replied. "Trust me, dude. It won't work," I told him. "So, I got this thing," Ruby says after a short silence, pulling out Crescent Rose and stabbing it into the ground. "Whoa, is that a scythe?" John asked. "It's also a customized high-impact sniper rifle," Ruby said proudly. What?" John asked, thoroughly confused. "It's also a gun," she explained. "So, what have you got?" Ruby asked John. John fumbled, pulling out the blade at his side. "I got the sword." "Ooh," Ruby says in fascination. "Yeah, and I've got the shield too," John says, grabbing his scabbard as they transformed into a shield. "So what do they do?" Ruby asked. "The shield gets smaller, so when I get tired of carrying it, I just put it away," John says, transforming his shield back into a scabbard and placing it back at his side. "But wouldn't it weigh the same?" Ruby questioned. Yeah, it does, John says dejectedly. So what about you, Naruto? Well, I got these, I said, referring to the two pistol holsters on my side. I pulled one out to examine. They don't use regular bullets, I said, aiming the gun at seemingly nothing. They run on condensed energy that is shot out with a speed equivalent to that of, if not greater, than a regular bullet would be. John said, confused. It shoots energy, I stated simply, putting the gun back in its holster. I grabbed the tanto on my side from its sheath and held the blade out for examination. This here is my tanto. It's meant for close combat and I can channel elements through it, I explained. After that, I sheathed the short blade and grabbed the cleaver from my back. And this is my greatest creation, I said, hoisting the blade onto my shoulder. It's meant for brute force. Like my tanto, I can also channel the elements through this, and a little extra. What do you mean by that? John asked. That's. Both John and Ruby leaned in to hear what I had to say. A secret. Both face faulted at that, causing me to give them the patented Kakashi eye smile. So Ruby starts, having gotten over her face fault. Did you force them yourself? Of course, I replied. Wait, you made these? John exclaimed in disbelief. All students at Signal make their own weapons. Didn't you make yours? Ruby asked. It's a hand-me-down. My great-great-grandfather used it to fight in the war, John says. It sounds more like a family heirloom to me. Well, I like it. Not many people have an appreciation for the classics these days, Ruby says. Yeah, the classics, John says, sheathing his sword. We started walking away, not really knowing where we were headed. So, why'd you help me out back there in the courtyard? Ruby asks John. Why not? My mom always says strangers are just friends you haven't met yet, John replies. Hey, where are you going? Ruby asks, realizing we were lost. I don't know, I replied. I was following you guys, John adds. You think there might be a directory? Maybe a food court, some kind of recognizable landmark? Is that a no? That's a no, Ruby says, slightly laughing. Nope, I say, popping the P. Konoha Mission Room, third POV. Back in Konoha, 3 years had passed since the number one hyperactive knucklehead ninja was exiled. His exile had lasted only 2 years, and Naruto was expected to return to Konoha and reinstated as a shinobi. Only one problem with that: he didn't return like expected. But they waited and waited and waited, but to no avail. As he had not returned, it hadn't affected the civilian side of the council, but Danzo and the shinobi side were concerned. Konoha Shinjuki, as Danzo had liked to call him Naruto, wasn't in Konoha. They didn't even know where he was, except for a few rumors of an orange blur headed in the direction of Wave Country, but that was over 3 years ago. However, a few rumor on the orange loving blonde was confirmed but true by one of Jiraiya's spies. Right now, if one were to look inside the Konoha mission room, they would see a group of people being addressed by the Hokage and her advisors. There were 9 people in total being addressed, all ranked Chunin or above. Starting from the left to right, there was a girl with her hair up in Chinese-style buns. She had steel gray eyes and wore a long-sleeve white blouse with a high collar and red fasteners, puffy pants that looked like a hakama, with the exposed parts of her legs near the waist covered in bandages, and on her back was a large scroll. Next to her was a man that wore a green jumpsuit, orange leg warmers, a zipped-up dark green Konoha flak jacket. Bandages were wrapped up around his hands, and a red belt with the Konoha symbol around his waist. He had a black bowl-cut hair and thick eyebrows. To his right was a fair-skinned man with long dark brown hair and white pupil eyes. He wore a white robe with loose sleeves, a dark navy green apron tied around his waist, and black shinobi sandals. Next to him was a brown-eyed man with spiky hair similar to that of a pineapple. He wore a flak jacket along with a long-sleeved black shirt and pants. On the left sleeve of his shirt was a metal plate with the Konoha symbol etched on it. To his right was a man with a robust physique, long spiky brown hair, and black eyes. He wore a red suit with armor with a flak jacket on top. He wore a red Konoha headband on top of his head. Next to him was a girl with light blue eyes and blonde hair that was tied up in a high ponytail with one flattened bang covering her right eye. She wore a short purple sleeveless blouse along with an open front purple apron skirt over a black skirt and short fishnet shorts. Next to her was a leather form-fitting black jacket, black pants, shinobi sandals, and a headband. With him was a large white fur dog that was the size of a small horse. To the right of the dog was a girl with dark blue waist-length hair, fair skin, and wide pupilless eyes. Her outfit consisted of a long-sleeved zip-up lavender and cream jacket, navy blue pants, and low-heeled sandals. Finally, to the end was a tall man wearing black glasses and a knee-length jacket with a hood covering most of his face. The 9 shinobi were 9 of what was known as the Rookie 11 in order of their description: Tenten, Lee, Neji, Shikamaru, Choji, Ino, Kiba, and Akamaru, Hinata, and Shino. You have all been called here for an S-rank retrieval mission, Tsunade said, addressing the 9 shinobi in front of her. S-rank retrieval mission? Kiba asked. Who would be so hard to retrieve that the mission is S-ranked? You know who. We all do. Tsunade replied, causing the 9 to either gasp in surprise, have their eyes widened, or both. There was one person they all knew to be missing. Naruto, Hinata gasped. Her former crush had disappeared over 3 years ago and had not been heard of since, which considering how Naruto was, everyone found odd. Many had feared he was killed or worse, captured by the Akatsuki. Yes, Danzo, one of the Hokage's advisors, replied. According to Jiraiya-san's spy network, the Akatsuki are making their move in capturing the Jinchuriki. Your mission is to find and escort Naruto back to Konoha. Failure is not an option, Tsunade finished in a serious tone. In addition to your retrieval team, you will be accompanied by 2 of my best men. Danzo added, Yamato and Sai. What? Why would we even bring your rude Anbu along with us? Kiba exclaimed, outraged. Yamato has the ability of the Shandame Hokage, Mokutan, and Sai has the ability of the Bokutan. Both are very adept in their abilities, Danzo explained, his eyes slightly narrowing. Focus, Tsunade said. From what we've discovered, Naruto went in the direction of Wave. I'll start your search from there, and so on. Good luck, and bring back Naruto. Hi, Hokage-sama, was said by the 9 as they walked out the room. Hokage-sama, might I ask why you didn't send the other members of Team 7 as well? Danzo asked. You and I both know that they'd charge straight on if they found out it was Naruto. At least the rest of the Rookie 11 would retain their common sense, Tsunade replied. I see, Danzo said. I hope you find Naruto, wherever you are, Tsunade thought. Naruto's dream world, time unknown, Naruto's POV. I had just fallen asleep after finding where the orientation was, and just in time to hear Aspin's speech towards this year's freshmen. We then were told that we would all rest in the room we were currently in, and so I fell asleep as usual, only this time I didn't have the same dreams I usually had. No, this wasn't my usual dream where a giant bowl of ramen did the caramel dances. In front of me was pitch black, nothing else other than glowing crystals of all colors, and 2 fireballs that were blue and red. Suddenly, lightning struck out of nowhere, flashing every now and then, revealing certain images that I couldn't comprehend. The images I saw, though I couldn't clearly see what was happening, were of 2 small white blurs, one surrounded by a rainbow of colors, the other by red and blue. And above them was a giant red eye. It was the only thing I could see clearly. It had 4 rings that went from the center pupil along with 9 tomo. When I stared at it, I was filled with fear, as if I was looking at something worse than death. Suddenly, the one red eye turned into 2 purple eyes with 4 rings in each and no tomo, until the one red eye, which was filled with rage, these eyes felt calm. You will face many trials, young one, a mysterious deep male voice said, but above all, you must break the cycle. And with that, my dream got even weirder. Beacon Academy, 7:42 a.m., Naruto's POV. I woke up from my strange dream feeling refreshed from the rest of the day. Blinking a few times, I saw that an enthusiastic orange-haired girl was talking with a guy who had a highlight of magenta in his hair. I stretched out a bit, my fox ears and tail slightly twitching. Today was my initiation. Many people were wondering who they'll be teamed with. Me, I wasn't worried at all. Hopefully I would be teamed up with Ruby or Yang or some other nice people and not some arrogant jerk. I already dealt with Sasuke. I don't need to deal with a Sasuke 2.0. I packed a sleeping bag that everyone was given for the first night, ate the cafeteria pancakes for breakfast, and brushed my teeth. All the while that cheerful orange-haired girl was talking to the guy with the magenta highlight. That all took about an hour to do. I didn't have to go to the weapons locker room, considering I had my weapons sealed onto my person. How did you get your weapons? I didn't see you go to the weapons locker room, John asked me as we walked to the designated area Professor Ospin told all freshmen to go to. Trade secret, I said, slightly smirking. Emerald Forest, the cliffside, 9:10 a.m. For years you have trained to become warriors, and today your abilities will be evaluated in the Emerald Forest, Ospin stated. Now, I'm sure many of you have heard rumors about the assignment of teams. Well, allow us to put an end to your confusion. Each of you will be given teammates today, Glinda added. What? Oh, I heard Ruby murmur in concern. These teammates will be with you for the rest of your time here at Beacon, so it is in your best interest to be paired with someone with whom you can work well. Osmond said. Hearing this, Ruby groaned, as did a few others. That being said, the first person you make eye contact with after landing will be your partner for the next 4 years. What? Ruby exclaimed in panic. See, I told you, the orange-haired girl started. Osmond had cut her off before she could continue speaking. After you've been partnered up, make your way to the northern edge of the forest. You will meet a position along the way. Do not hesitate to destroy everything in your path, or you will die. This caused John to laugh nervously until gulping loudly. You will be monitored and graded through the duration of your initiation, but our instructors will not intervene. You will find an abandoned temple at the end of the path containing several relics. Each pair must choose one and return to the top of the cliff. You will guard that item as well as your standing and grade you appropriately. Are there any questions? Yeah, sir, John asked hesitantly, raising his hand. Good. Now take your positions, Osmond said. I looked at my surroundings, seeing near at the left end of the line we were all in was the girl with mint green hair I saw earlier. Next to her was the monkey faunus and the horse faunus. Then there was the black-haired girl with the katana on her back and a bow in her hair, the white-haired girl with a rapier, the red-haired girl holding a spear, a guy with a light green mohawk, the cheerful orange-haired girl with a grenade launcher on her back. The guy with the magenta highlights was holding green pistol knives in his hands, and Aragon, the light brown-haired man in armor, Yang, Ruby, John, and finally at the end was me. Everyone was getting in their fighting stances except for John, who still had his hand raised. Soon enough, the mechanical platforms we were on started ejecting people into the forest, starting with the left. Sir, I've got a question, John asks, not noticing that the number of students being ejected was increasing. So this landing strategy thing, what is it? You're like dropping us off or something? No, you will be falling, Osmond answered. Oh, I see. So did you like hand out parachutes for us? John asked as more students were thrown into the forest. No, you will be using your own landing strategy. Yeah. Whilst John was still talking, the orange-haired girl and the guy with the magenta highlights were launched into the forest. Woohoo! I heard Yang exclaim as she was launched into the air, followed by Ruby. So what exactly is the landing strategy? John exclaimed as he was launched into the air. I looked ahead as I prepared myself for the launching. I smirked. A smirk appeared on my face as I was launched. Let's do this, Data Bio! I exclaimed as I was finally launched. As I was in mid-air, I was able to see Professor Osmond standing there, watching us being launched whilst drinking his coffee. Unknown location, third POV. Kakazu, you and Hidan will go after the Nibi Jinchuriki. Sasori, you and Deidara will go after the Ichibi Jinchuriki. And finally, Itachi, you and Kisame will go to the land beyond the Oki no Okunote and retrieve the Kyubi Jinchuriki. Understood? A mysterious figure said. What stood out about this silhouette was the purple-gray eyes that had 4 rings in them. Hi, Leader-sama, was the chorus of responses. One by one, the group of mysterious figures disappeared until there were 4 left. The one with the purple-gray eyes turned to one of the few remaining people left. And you're sure that the Kyubi Jinchuriki is beyond the Oki no Okunote? The figure asked. Are you questioning the extent of my knowledge? The other mysterious figure threatened more than asked. No, but I'm curious as to how you know of this land beyond the Oki no Okunote. I've seen many things in my lifetime, Nagato. Is that all? Yes, Madara-sama. Good. And with that, 2 more of the mysterious figures disappeared, leaving only 2. You know he can't be trusted, Nagato. I know, Konan, but we have to for now. End of chapter 4. Omake, the rest of Naruto's weird dream, Naruto's POV, inside the fox. After my dream changed from those weird purple eyes with the rings in them, my dream got even weirder. I was standing in the middle of a Victorian-style ballroom, and in front of me was quite the sight. The horse faunus guy was wearing a tuxedo and a fake horse head. The girl with mint green hair had a black party gown and party mask on. The monkey faunus were wearing some sort of zip-up monkey pajama that had a little hood with monkey ears. The orange-haired girl was in a female version of the Mad Hatter's outfit. The pale-skinned girl with the white hair was in a Snow White costume. The girl who had black hair with a hair bow was wearing a black cat costume with 3 whisker marks and a cat nose drawn on her face. The red-haired girl was wearing some type of Roman legion slash Spartan armor. The guy with long black hair that had a magenta highlight in it was wearing Chun-Lin's outfit. The only reason I knew that was because of this one time I went to the arcade with Ruby and Yang. Yang was wearing an outfit similar to Goldilocks' outfit. Ruby was wearing Little Red Riding Hood's hood. John was in a knight's armor, and for some reason there was a guy in a banana suit and sombrero with a fancy mustache. They all formed a semicircle around a fox with 9 tails and rabbit ears that was standing on its hind legs. Suddenly, music started playing, and the fox, which oddly resembled the QB, started singing. Okay, I'm continuing here just to say that the song does play, and I'm pretty sure you know what song it is. And there are 2 reasons why I'm not going to sing it. One, like usual, my singing voice is horrible. And 2, it's a song that I've already gotten stuck in my head rereading this chapter, so I'm probably going to save you guys the misery of also getting it stuck in your head. That's all. When the song ended, everyone struck a pose as the lights faded out. Before I woke up, I heard the fox speak. Words cannot describe how ridiculous you made me look, Kit. QB groaned in annoyance. Suddenly, I woke from my dream, blinking a few times. I thought about the dream I just had last night. What the heck was the point of that dream? It wasn't even a ramen-filled dream. End of chapter 4.